Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Leadership 911 When Crisis and Courage Collide chat series. Believe it or not, we're already at week 3, and it may seem hard to keep track. I know my days are running together, maybe yours are too, with everything that's going on lately. But it is a new week, and we're ready to do another deep dive. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that there's a lot coming at us all at one time, and sometimes it seems hard to process it all. We're trying to work remotely. Some of us had to become instant homeschool teachers. We are losing social interactions. We had to cancel some significant life events, right? And our businesses have been just kind of totally changed in the last couple of weeks. And it's enough to drive even the most sane person up the walls. That's why I brought in the most optimistic person I know to help us make sense of everything. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with leadership expert Pierre Campbell. Pierre is the author of Simple Intelligence, Get Optimistic, How Acronyms and Affirmation Can Truly Work to Your Advantage. His optimism is really infectious, and that's exactly what we need right now to take down this pandemic. Pierre, it is go time, and there is no time like this time. And so I want to welcome my friend Pierre to the leadership chat. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing outstanding, Charles. Bless you, brother. Oh man,
Good,
this
man. It's so glad to have you. Every time I'm interacting with you on social media, your videos, you're always pumped, you're always optimistic. And I thought, man, if me and this brother can link up during this time, I think we can continue, right, to bring value to those who are looking to make some type of shift during this time. And like many of us, sometimes when there's a crisis, there's this immediate type of, okay, what am I going to do now? And some people get stuck there with what I'm going to do, but then some make that pivot quickly. And so I want to bring you on tonight because I want you to be able to talk to leaders and supervisors and managers and just folks in general who would tune in to this live chat and bring that optimism to them, right? And let us just pull some of that energy from you, but then also just give us practical tools, tips, and resources that we can use to make the necessary adjustments. So thanks for being here this evening, man.
Oh, hey, Charles. Thank you for having me. This is a blessing and an honor to be on your show. Um, God bless all your partners, all your audience members, everybody that's watching right now. Before we even get into the chat, I always like to talk about the realness of what we're in right now because it's important, right? We're dealing with a virus, this pandemic that we're in right now. So I want to talk to y'all about a couple of things that may not be shared on social media or maybe are not on the news consistently on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Please, please intake your vitamin C, zinc, take all the black seed oil, all these different the what is it, chlorella,
Mm-hmm.
all these
Right.
different things. Lemon, I drink lemon tea. Look, this is my ginger tea for our talk. Okay, this is
Nice.
ginger and lemon, boil in water, boom.
There you go. Yeah, I know ginger works magic. Magic.
Exactly. So, I mean, before we even get into, we have to realize that we're dealing with a virus.
Yeah.
So that means that we should build our immune systems, get outside and get that vitamin D. Yes, we might be shut in. You have to stay inside, but guess what? That doesn't mean you can't step outside when the sun is out and get that
Yeah.
vitamin D on your melanin or on your skin. So just go out there and get that vitamin D, and don't just feel so like you have to be shut in all the time. So
Yes,
I
sir.
just
That's
that was
good. Thank you for
every,
that because hey, we
every
have to we got to attack it from every angle. The health, the mental health, the physical health. We need that common knowledge and practical knowledge. So, yeah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that. And so, if you're ready, Pierre, I'm ready to dive in, man, because again, I think you're going to help us make a huge pivot in our lives during this time. So, I really want to start, and if you don't mind, first, um, just share with me because I think sometimes people forget that leaders and authors and motivational speakers that we're just human as well, right? And they see us performing at optimal levels and they see us kind of know just make sudden shifts when crisis come our way. But the reality is, we're fathers, we're husbands,
Right.
We're writing this thing with them. Nobody is kind of immune to what's going on. So I'll just start by asking, how has this pandemic affected you kind of personally? Real quick, if you would share it. Has it brought any degree of, anxiety your way? And what did you do to overcome it? And we'll just start there real quick, and then we'll roll into the rest of the discussion.
Sure, sure. So not necessarily anxiety, but a sense of, okay, it's game time.
Okay.
Meaning, and let me clarify. Anyone that has the gifting of motivation, exhortation, the ability to inspire people, you should be feeling, this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me. You should be feeling a sense of, okay, it's our time to speak up. Now it's time to speak, encourage, and consistently help people to see that this too shall pass. Like this thing is going to pass. Okay,
Okay.
there was something called polio back in the day. And look at us
Right.
now. People went through that, right? And they
Yeah.
made it through that. But I believe that it's the people that have the giftings that you and I have, and everybody else that has the gifting of inspiration. It's
Mm-hmm.
time for us to rise up and actually speak up. So one of the things that happened to me is my wife and I, we have to homeschool Anthony now.
Okay.
So let me tell you something. He's a 1 year old. He's like mini Pep. So my nickname is Pep, y'all. Just so you know.
Okay.
So he's like a mini Pep. He's like always going. He's got energy,
Okay.
and we have to homeschool him. And we have a 1 year old, Chloe, and
Mm,
it's no joke. And as
yeah.
positive and motivational that I am, as inspirational that I am, and my wife is, guess what? There are times where I want to box him
Right.
upside.
Right. Right.
Another disclaimer: you're gonna hear some Jamaican come out of me, so you're gonna hear the patois come out. But there's times where even I, as a positive person, feel like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, can you get it together?
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody. There's nobody that's like excluded from this pandemic and the effects, the after effects, and also the secondary effects of what we have to go through.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And but on the flip side of that, once you do kind of it hits you, but like you say, immediately what's in us, those giftings and the visions and all of that, it turns us to action, which is what we're getting ready to talk about right now. And matter of fact, I'll just dive into to the questions with that. How should a leader respond to a crisis right now, Pierre, especially one that is feeling overwhelmed? Because we're getting ready to talk about transitioning from overwhelmed to optimism. So how should a leader respond right now?
Well, the first thing that a leader should do, I always encourage leaders to do, is to realize that everybody is going through something,
Okay.
including yourself. So take an introspective look on yourself first, and then everybody that's on your team, everybody that's in your organization, everybody that's in your family. If you look at yourself first, there's the good word that says what? Know thyself. If you know yourself and you take time for yourself to step away from the
Mm-hmm.
family, relax. As extroverted as I am, I step away and get my introverted time.
Okay.
So the first thing that I encourage leaders to do during this time is to breathe. I had a conversation with another executive coach, and he was talking about the exercises that he put some of his executives through. It's breathing exercises, and as simple as as simple as it might seem, his name is Steve Gladys, by the way, and as simple as it might seem, that's something that's important, isn't it? Breathing,
Yeah, just taking the time to breathe.
taking the time to breathe. I mean, because it's very overwhelming. You're being inundated with all of this negativity, which you don't know what to believe, what is true, what is not true. So if you look at yourself, take care of yourself first. What do they say when you get on a plane and something goes wrong? Put the
Yeah, make
mask.
sure you secure your mask first before you help others.
Exactly, because that's what we have to do as leaders right now. As leaders are being watched. If you're working in an organization and you're a leader, whether you're a manager, by the way, we can talk about that too. There's a difference between a management and leadership, by the way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
whether you're a manager or a leader, you are being watched. Everything you do, how you respond to this whole pandemic, how you respond to an email, everything is sensitive. And I just encourage people to understand that there is a sensitivity behind the communication that we put out on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, that's good. That's good. The sort of, I think it ties back to what Valerie Alexander shared last week, that if there's darkness in us, if we're feeling overwhelmed and unhappy, it's going to be hard for us to go out and inspire and motivate and lead others. And so you're saying essentially the same thing. We have to pause, take that deep breath, kind of examine ourselves, get ourselves ready for the fight, and then move forward with the visions and sharing the visions and leading the team. So yeah, I think that's important. I'm glad we kind of started there, because again, sometimes we forget that we feel it too, but we need to take that moment to breathe. So I've heard you talk about before, and as I was reading through your book, and I'm on your website, and just following you on LinkedIn, I've heard you talk about these 15 things that a manager and leaders need to know about their people. And are there any that are more important now, considering the situation we're in, kind of working remotely and just kind of dislocated, and businesses trying to figure out if they're even going to stay afloat, and supervisors trying to deploy people the right way? Are any of those 15 things that you talk about more relevant now than before?
They're all relevant, but if you ask me to pick out one, the one that I would pick out is your people know that you don't know it all.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because managers tend to fall into what I call the leadership trap. Do you know what the leadership trap is?
Let's talk about it. Explain it to us.
So the leadership trap is it's lonely at the top.
Okay.
That's what the leadership trap is. Now, I get it. It may feel lonely at the top, but it is not lonely at the top. If you're on a team, if you have a team, guess what? You're playing a role. Your role is, and I always translate everything to football because I'm an ex-football player, but as a player, your job is to play your position. Okay. So a coach, a position coach, those are managers.
Yeah.
And guess what? They play their position. They don't step out on the field and play in the game. They play their position. They coach. And they know that they have to put their players in the right position and then allow their players to play the game.
Got it.
You see? So listen, and I knew as a player that my coaches, they didn't necessarily know every detail of the game from my perspective. Like, I played fullback linebacker in arena football.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even play fullback linebacker in arena football. Okay?
Got it.
But I expected the fact that they understood that they had faith in my ability to get the task done.
Got it.
And put me in position to make the plays. So it's the same thing as a manager in corporate America or whatever you're leading. As a manager, it's the same thing. You have to look at yourself and say, okay, what is my role in this? And know in those 15 things, the one thing that I would say at this point is to know that your people know. Don't get it twisted. Listen. like let's get real. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
People know you don't know it all. I don't know it all.
Right.
But what I do know, I'm confident in. And as a team, that's what we do, is we play on a team. And I put forth whatever effort that I can put forth in the things that I know. And that's what you should do too. Everybody has a role to play.
So that's really important, because oftentimes we think, and as leaders, that people expect us to know it all. But you're saying the reality is they know we don't.
They know.
They don't need us to be right all the time. They just need us to be real, right? They want to follow somebody who is real and authentic. And being real and authentic mean you have to recognize and admit the areas where you may have some type of not necessarily weakness, but you're not an expert in it. That's why you have a team. And so now having people all over the place, being able to pull these different ideas and expertise together to say, here's my vision for the team and us getting the work done, but collectively, what are we bringing to the table? Get input from everyone to be able to make a good decision. And so, yeah, that's real key. So with that in mind, thinking about teamwork, can you kind of define what teamwork looks like right now during this uncomfortable time and transition? What does teamwork look like?
Teamwork is like, I could just give you a story about when I was at Strayer. I used to be a campus director at Strayer. And although my job was to be the campus director in charge of operations, that didn't mean that I couldn't help the academic department. That didn't mean I couldn't help other departments throughout the whole university. Whenever someone needed leadership development throughout the whole university, I would raise my hand because I understood my area of gifting.
Okay.
So teamwork is about understanding each individual, understanding, and this is the leader's responsibility from a personal perspective and also from a management perspective.
Okay.
And these are the things that they don't necessarily get talked about. Your responsibility as a manager, not just holding people accountable for numbers, but actually supporting them and putting them in the right position. You know, Jim Collins wrote the book Good to Great.
Good to Great.
Where he talked about putting people in the right position on the bus.
Yep.
Right? So when I was at Strayer, one of the things that I did was I got together all of the teams on my campuses. I ran 2 campuses. And because of my area of expertise, I coached the individuals on the campus. I bought the book Strength Finders 2.0. I encourage y'all, if y'all don't have that book, go get the book, because right now people don't understand what their talents, gifts, and strengths are. And I'm sure you're probably going to ask me a question about that a little later about value, because I always talk about value. But teamwork is about playing your position and putting people in the right position if you're the manager.
Okay.
Now, I'll say that again because it's really important, Charles. And I might sound like a broken record player because I am a coach, right?
No. Yeah.
Teamwork is about playing your position if you're the manager or you're the leader or whatever position you play on the team in the organization, and then also making sure that everybody else is playing their position and on understanding their talents, their gifts, and their strengths. Okay. And not just depending on a job description. You know, we have a tendency to just depend on a job description, but when they hire you, they don't know who you are. They don't know who you are. That's why it's your responsibility to show and shine your light. Show who you are.
They just see what's on paper, on the resume.
That's all they see.
Right? And so you're saying during this time is an opportunity for us to even tap into some of our own strengths that may not necessarily be tied to the job that I was just hired for. But there are things that I know that I can do or bring to the table during this time that I can voice with my leaders and my managers, and hopefully they're comfortable enough to receive it and accept it and then allow me to go and do. That type of collaboration from what you're sharing is what I'm getting from that yes, you may have been brought in to do one thing, but with working remotely, maybe that one thing only gives you a couple hours of work, and you need to be able to be gainfully employed a little longer than that. And so between the manager and the leader and yourself, finding more ways to keep you engaged kind of goes beyond just what they hired you for and brought you in for. So during this uncomfortable time of transition, going back to the question, we need to find unique ways to employ people and to deploy people. Is that a good interpretation of what you're sharing?
100%. We have a tendency in organizations, every one of us, every industry across the board, have a tendency to employ but not deploy.
Okay.
So, and that as a manager, our responsibilities if you're a manager, you're responsible for employing people, but you're also responsible for deploying them, allowing them to shine.
Yeah.
Identifying, paying attention, very, very close attention to what their value is. Okay. And let me say this, Charles, because I think this is very important. The way Pierre Campbell defines value is your talents, your gifts, and your strengths.
Okay.
Every individual, every manager, every executive, every owner of a business, anyone has value. If you're feeling like you don't have value because you are now working from home, and usually the work that you do brings enormous amounts of value when you're at work in an office, people are doing engineering work or whatever it is. If you feel like you are now like, oh my God, where's my value? You have to look at your talents, your gifts, and your strengths. And now how can you deploy those? and not just think about the job description.
Mm.
This is the time now to not just think about your job description, because there's going to be shifts. Once this bad boy turns around, they're gonna
Right, right.
they're looking like, okay, so look at your talent. Look at your talent. So
That's good. Yeah, yeah, that's really good, man. I like that point because some of us may have fell into that place where being in the office brought about a certain status, right, and kind of being able to be seen in our accomplishments and all that kind of stuff, where now might not necessarily be the case. And so, yeah, leveraging is still going back to those gifts, those talents, those strengths. So I like that. What are some ways, man? Because we're talking a lot about relationships. What are some ways, Pierre, that leaders can strengthen the relationships that they have with their teams during a time like this?
just you have to realize that your people know that you're not perfect,
Yeah.
and your people have value. So you as the leader, what you can do now is become the explorer of your people. Now is the time more than ever to explore your people's talents, gifts, and strengths, to explore what they bring to the table. If you're not understanding, okay, well, this person is coming in, John is coming in, and now he's working from home, and now I can't see him every day, and now you're trying to manage him through email. No, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, call them, ask them how I'm doing. Always start off with a wellness check. Every conversation should start off with a wellness check first. Because as well as you are going through something, they're going through
They're
something.
going through something too. Yeah.
And people know, like people can sense authenticity,
Mm.
genuine. I mean, come on. Like the fakeness, that has to stop. We have to stop that. It's okay to not know everything. You're the leader. You're in a leadership role. You're the manager. And guess what? That's your role, like the head coach of a football team. Like I keep saying, that's your role. You play your role. Play your role. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's good.
This is the time for you to, if I always when I speak to leaders, I get so, here's the thing, Charles, I feel the pain of leaders that are not being developed.
Okay.
And that's a way for you to understand what your purpose is in life. Whose pain do you feel? Mother Teresa felt pain.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Martin Luther King felt pain.
Yep.
That's why they did great things.
Yeah.
Because whose pain do you feel?
Yeah.
Because that means you're assigned to them. And when you're assigned to them, that means that you have the ingredients to be able to help them.
To help them. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's usually the pains of some type of injustice, right? Where maybe there's not fair treatment, or somebody's not getting fair opportunity for whatever reason, or somebody's just kind of getting looked over. And even in the workplace, depending on how big a company or a corporation is, you have that where voices might not be heard. And so this is really an opportunity, like you say, to find out those things that grip you as a leader concerning your teams, concerning your company, and then try and take action on it despite what's going on around us. And that's a really good point. I see in the chats they're saying genuinely checking in with those you lead. Big up Jamaica, great practical tips, and they were in full agreement about the ginger tea. So yeah, that's a good point, man. So I say this all the time, that your perspective usually is what's going to change your position, right? If you go into a crisis, or you go into any type of significant life event, already feeling defeated, already feeling like you don't got what it takes to get out of this thing, already feeling like it's not going to end well, then you've already lost the battle, right? You've already put yourself in a place of defeat. But when you can change your perspective, you can change your position. You can go from feeling like we're talking about overwhelmed to optimistic. You can go from feeling like the underdog to the one who actually has a whole bunch of value to bring. And so when we're talking about teams now, and companies, organizations, and leaders who might be feeling overwhelmed or might not have the right perspective, can you talk a little bit about what type of perspective we should have as leaders in the middle of a crisis? I think about significant military leaders, with my military background, and how there's been times where troops we're feeling like we're wide eyes, because there might be bullets flying and there's chaos around us and we're kind of like frozen and feeling overwhelmed. But then you have this leader come in, and we've all seen like the Patriot, and all of a sudden they got all of this, this ambition, and they're real and you're like, okay, and then you can get behind that. So what type of perspective should a leader be bringing right now?
Man, thank you for serving. That's number one. My brother,
Pleasure.
my brother served in the Marines, and my uncle served in the Marines. And I wanted to go to the Marines, but they said, "I'll kill you. You play. You'll play
They wanted you to
football.
go play football.
You're going to college to play football."
That's
So,
awesome, man.
yeah.
Well, I
My brother,
appreciate your family service as well, man.
thank
Absolutely. It's my
you.
pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. So you said a couple things, and I want to highlight the perspective part. I say in simple intelligence, which is basically common sense, y'all. That's the reason why common sense is not common, right? Everybody in the comments below. Common sense is not common, okay? It's something that we've learned. Common sense is something that we've learned. So I created the philosophy, the idea of simple intelligence, because emotional intelligence, social intelligence, all these different intelligences and IQs
Right.
out there, but it's like, we need some common sense. So the first thing is perspective. Perspective is really important when it comes to leadership, because I share with people all the time, your perception is your reality. Your perception is your reality. That's simple intelligence, common sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your perception is your reality. The way you perceive us as you're watching us right now is your reality. We cannot control, but to a certain extent, what you believe about us
Right.
based on your perception. So as a leader, we have to, all across the board in all industries, as a leader, what I encourage you to do is to think from this perspective. Remember, perception and perspective. Everyone is going through something. Everyone is going through something. And what that brings is, it brings a sense of humanity. It brings a sense of empathy to your leadership style. So you don't jump quick to do knee-jerk reactions to things. You think and say, well, wait a minute, this email, there's no tone in it. Let me pick up the phone. This person may be, I wrote an article on my LinkedIn profile. Everybody check it out. It's literally probably the first article that I wrote. It's think before you CC the manager. Y'all go check it out.
That's good.
Okay. We have a tendency to do things that we're not realizing they may be perceived in a way where it's not receptive. So
Yes.
perception is your reality. So right now, the thought process that should consistently be for a leader is everyone is going through something. And as they're going through something, you're going through something.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be as inspirational as you can be and guard your gates and make sure that you are not consistently being inundated with negativity.
Got it. That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah. Wow. Why the remote teams then? As you kind of talked about, all of us going through something.
Yes.
And we have these now remote teams that a leader is leading, and he's trying to still be the leader and have impact, but while leading these remote teams, which goes back to relational leadership, you're saying don't lose sight of that human element. Don't forget that it's just people dealing with people, interacting with people, right? And not put yourself above the situation, but don't put yourself underneath it and dig a hole in the ground. But you can still be that leader. You can still be that powerful voice, that influencer, and still be human and still be relatable. Does that sound accurate?
100%.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
I feel like you've been on a relational leadership page, man. You're right up in it.
it's leadership. It's leadership. I mean, they say the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. Well, birds of a feather flock together, but also, do you notice that eagles soar at a certain altitude?
Yes.
Okay, chickens not going up there.
No.
Okay. 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 So what I'm saying to you is we're on the same wavelength. And anyone that's watching this, they can tell, they can understand that this is right now is the time for true leadership. There's a really good book that I recommend everybody go get.
Okay.
It's written by Lee Iacocca. The title of the book is called "Where Have All the Leaders Gone?"
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, and right now, more than ever, that is a great question. A great title, great question. Where have all the leaders gone? And the reason why is because lack of leadership development. Leadership development is not just, it's intangible. And when you don't understand the value of an intangible, you disregard it.
You would disregard it. Yep. Yep.
So leadership development is intangible, and it's very important during this time. So this show, this relational leadership network, this is leadership development. This is intangible. People are watching this now live, and then people will be watching this over time for years to come. And guess what? They're going to eat the food from what we're sharing.
What we're sharing. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said in the comments, nor do pigeons fly with the eagles.
Right. Right.
I have another question for you, but I want to see if we have any questions with those in the chat that have been tuned in watching the broadcast. We broadcast to our company Facebook page and also stream out to our YouTube channel. I want to make sure before we kind of head into and get ready to land this plane that there's no questions for Pierre from those who have been tuning in live with us. If you have one, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I'll try and get to it as Pierre is kind of answering this last question, because you are the optimistic champion, in my book. And so I want to ask you, man, because I've seen videos of you when you were doing like some type of audition, right? And you did this audition video, and you're there out in a park, and I see cones set up, and I see you just doing these exercises, and you're talking, about who you are and what you do. And, from the context, I could tell it was some type of interview audition tape, almost looked like. But man, you were so pumped, you were so hyped, man, and that was you in the park with no shirt on. But then when I see you on LinkedIn and I see you doing speaking engagements, you got that same level, right, of hypeness that you bring. How can leaders, like just in a genuine way, man, just motivate their teams, just keep teams motivated on a daily basis while we're in this grind and we're trying to get through this pandemic? What are some ways, like some creative ways or just some practical and simple ways we can motivate our team?
Okay, so the first thing we got to start off with self, because you did talk about my audition tape. That was pretty funny. And that's something that I just released not too long ago, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was for those of you who haven't seen it, y'all can go on LinkedIn and check it out. And I also have it on my Instagram page. I was selected to be a part of a Linebacker U reality TV show back in 2004, and I wasn't one of the guys. They were selecting people that were drafted that got cut from teams, and I wasn't drafted. And, my agent had one of the linebackers that was supposed to be in this show. And CBS had the show, and the NFL Network was like, give it to us. Okay. And they dropped the show. But I made an audition tape, and everyone else made an audition tape, and they were sitting there like this. My name is Pierre Campbell. I played at Cheney University, blah, 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 and, I'm 6 foot, blah, 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 which I'm not 6 foot. But they were like saying all these different things about themselves. Everything was just talking, sitting down. Well, I was like, man, forget that. I took my shirt off. I was in tights. I was out there in the park in the bottled water. I had my teammate record me, and I just showed.
Yeah. And
this is something that the reason why I posted on LinkedIn and my social media, to be honest, I could have posted it years ago, but I was like, man, we got to show people, show your value.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask you to do. I was going to ask you to tie it into this situation. So go ahead.
That's exactly what happened. Is I literally said, okay, how can I differentiate myself? Because let me drop a little nugget of jewel. Okay, your difference brings value to your job.
Got it.
Your difference brings value to the marketplace.
Okay,
that's simple intelligence. That would be common sense. Your difference brings value to the job. Your difference brings value to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
Yep.
you have to first understand what your difference is. So going back to your question, what it is I understood what my uniqueness was.
Mm-hmm.
Even at an early age, I said, you know what? I'm different. And I wasn't afraid. And thank God for my mom, because she pumped me up. Don't get it twisted now. She boxed me upside my head a couple times. So she was like, hey, don't get arrogant, But there is a difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah.
And it's very important to teach. When you're teaching confidence, it's very important to teach when you're teaching humility, or, because always say, be humble for leaders. It's very important to teach confidence as well, so that people don't dim their light. So I just said, you know what? Let me show my value. So what I encourage people to do, to answer your question specifically, is to understand what your value is. Once you understand what your value is, start paying attention. As a leader now, you're managing people. Pay attention to their value. How do you do that? Well, I can coach you on that, but let me give you a couple tips. Ask them questions about the business. Ask them questions about what makes them angry. Ask them questions about why they do what they do. Why did they even take this job in the first place? Start going back to simple things, like asking them questions about, what would you do if you were the leader of this country?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things, and it's coaching that will help you go through that. And that's what I do, is I help people to understand value and articulate their value. But
and then take that feedback and then now use it to put action behind it, because that's going to motivate them. That's going to inspire them, because it's more personalized. You're intentional. They're more connected to whatever it is you're getting ready to put in place now, because you took that time to see what it is that they were bringing to the table. So I like that. I see in the comments, action oriented, set aside their strength and humility. Got one question for you. How do you show others they are important and part of the success of the organization? Which I think is a great question. So, I'll throw that question your way. How do you show others they are important and part of the success of the organization now? And it probably ties into what you just said when you're being intentional about finding those strengths, but I'll let you elaborate on that a little bit.
Okay. So how do you show others that they're important?
Well, and part of the success of the organization.
Success of the organization. That actually happened to me, where I was put in a position where literally I was told that I wasn't successful and my campus wasn't successful, and then I had to show. So the first thing that I do, and I always encourage leaders to do, is to understand the person's talents, gifts, and strengths.
Okay, got it. So do your homework.
Do your homework. Study your people. Study yourself.
Yeah.
What it says, know thyself.
Know thyself.
And when you know yourself, you know your position, going back to football, right? You know the position that you play, and then you tell them, hey, look, this is my position. This is your position. Give them recognition for what they do. Well, this is not the time to be school of hard knocks. If nobody taught me, then I'm not going to teach them. Come on, man. Get out of here with that. Okay, This is not the time for that type of leadership. Listen, you cannot lead the same way we led when you were face-to-face in this virtual world. You have to assure people. You have to give people a sense of trust, like you trust in their talents, their strengths.
Because right now we're wrestling with whether or not we're even going to keep our jobs. And so to now be able to make us feel connected to the success and let us know that we are a critical part to that success is going to be invaluable as a leader, right? And that's good.
And showing people how, and this is something that I always say to managers and executives all the time. Answer this question for yourself and then answer it for your people. How does your job directly impact the bottom line?
That's a good question.
That is powerful. That question right there will show people, okay, I understand how I affect the business, and it will give them a sense of value. Okay. And that's what people are looking for, is significance right now. So Charles, I had to bounce back because something just hit my spirit, man. Let me tell you something. We have a tendency to fall into that leadership trap that isolates the leader because they keep saying the leadership trap. It's lonely at the top. So then now they don't have a relational leader with their people, and they don't understand what value their people bring to the organization, and then they start making snap judgments.
Mm-hmm.
And then start making their people and start sending emails, shooting emails off with no emotional intelligence with it, okay? No realness, speaking
Wow.
to people, no respect, no love. Listen,
Wow.
everybody in the organization brings value. Everybody plays a position in the organization. There is no one that's lesser value. So you mean to tell me the person that's cleaning the building when we were all in buildings? You mean to tell me that the person cleaning the building is less
Is
valuable
any
than
less valuable?
the salesperson? No,
No.
because when
No.
the customer comes in the building, now they see a beautiful a place of excellence. That's the start of the culture. You mean to tell me the administrative assistant is not valuable?
Yeah.
My administrative assistant saved my butt so many times. Let me give it up to all administrative assistants out there. You know why? Because they can see things. They have the foresight to be able to see things that we don't see.
Yeah.
And it's your responsibility as a leader, as the manager, to take a step back from the Excel spreadsheet and the screen and know this: results are a byproduct of people's performance. Results are a byproduct of people's performance.
Right.
If you don't get anything else from this conversation, man, if you could get that and understand, oh my God. And if you can understand that it's about the people, anyway,
Yep.
let's go on to the next question.
And to get the people to perform at their best takes healthy relationships, right? It takes healthy whole individuals, but then healthy whole relationships. Tommy Gray say that's right. Tommy Gray say knowing what makes people feel included in the organization is a great point. Casey say you must be transparent. Keith said collective goal setting is healthy, and incentive-based inspiration works. So,
pay the people. Don't just, you're making millions. Let's get back to this. You're making millions of dollars. Pay the people.
Yeah.
There are great leaders out there that are in this pandemic that they see that their organization has to take cuts. So what are they doing? This is just common, things you would think is common sense. Like, man, you know what? To save a couple of my people, let me take a pay cut.
Yeah.
You can get your money back. Let's be real. Come on. You think these people don't know that you're making money? Come on.
Right.
Most of the corporate companies, everything is public knowledge.
Correct.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go, y'all. Where have all the leaders gone?
Because you're showing them that value and that importance. I learned this a long time ago, man, and we could be on this point all night. I learned this a long time ago that if you take the spark plug out of an engine, no matter how seemingly insignificant or small it seems in comparison to that whole engine, you take that spark plug out, nothing gets done. Nothing happens. That car ain't moving. Nothing is turning on, right? I remember working with my dad a couple times. He was a mechanic, and we're working on cars, man. And there was one time, and I can't remember this particular part that we were working on, but the car was not functioning properly when you put it in gear or something. And we were working with the gear shift, and there was a little washer that had cracked in half. You know how small a washer is. And because the little washer was cracked in half and not intact, the whole car couldn't move. And I always go back to that when I think about working within teams and organizations. And even in, the body of Christ, we talk about many members, but one body. But same thing in our organizations, right? Within the marketplace, these companies are made up of people who have positions and roles in which we've been talking about all night long. And without one of them, everything can just fall apart, right? And so during this time, if I'm hearing you well, man, and hearing your heart, you're saying that leaders need to be able to show everyone, one, be authentic and show their kind of true feelings about this, that they're not above it all and they're right in the fight with them, but then also relate to them in a way that you connect them to the continued success of the business and make them feel valued And that's an invaluable thing to be able to do. And sometimes you have to do it in intangible ways. Yep, you might need to pay them, but then, like you say, sometimes it requires a phone call or an email. So that's good, man. So we love to end all of our conversations by asking our guests the same 4 questions, what we call our lead questions. And there are 4 questions that start with the letters that make up the word lead. And there's kind of rapid fire. I ask you the questions, and you kind of just fire off the answers as they come to you, kind of first thought. And so if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and dive into these lead questions with the remaining time that we have here. But this has been a great so far, and the chats are still kind of blowing up there. Well, we're going to start with our first lead question, and it's L for learn. So during your years in leadership, what lesson have you learned that's been the most impactful to you?
That I don't know everything. And I love to learn.
Okay.
And because I have understand my gifting, it allows me to walk in my purpose.
Okay.
I don't know everything, but I do know what I do know. And because I love to learn, I've understood and identified my gifting, and it allows me to walk in my
To walk in
purpose,
that purpose. Okay.
which gives me and you, I'm talking to you, significance.
Yeah.
So that's the blueprint, y'all. I hope y'all got that. That was the blueprint. You can stop right there with this shit down. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Before you drop the mic.
No, go ahead,
All
because
right.
the people
E.
might have questions after this too. Go ahead.
E for expectations. What do you think is the number one? What is the number one thing people expect from leaders? Number one thing people expect from a leader
Oh my
in your
God.
mind.
This is going to be surprising to so many people, but the people that's watching is going to get this. Leaders, your people expect you to support them.
Wow, I like that.
People, see, you said it earlier, Charles. Leaders, because we've been programmed in this corporate space, in corporate America, that is to be lonely at the top, and you can't share too much, you can't get too close, can't have too much of a relationship with your people. They think that, oh, I need to know everything. No, you don't
Oh,
need to
right,
know everything.
right.
And they think that, oh, my people, because I'm an executive or because I'm a manager of this technology department, that I need to know every technical space. And it brings on anxiety, by the way, that type of
Right.
leadership. Unnecessary. Unnecessary. I'm coaching executives right now. And listen, please, you don't need to know everything.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay?
That's good. Support. Someone said in the comments that
Support.
people expect leaders
My answer.
to not make mistakes, which is unrealistic, right? They have that expectation that a leader isn't going to make a mistake. So,
They're
all
real.
right,
They're
yeah,
regular.
we're human. All right, so A, what should new leaders learn to accept when stepping into a leadership role? What should new leaders learn to accept when stepping into a leadership role?
New leaders should learn to accept that they don't have to know everything,
Yeah, yeah,
and that they are not the only ones responsible
yeah,
for everything.
yeah. That's good, and
It's a
and that's
it's a trap.
that is
See?
good.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Y'all heard it here on the Relational Leadership Network. Don't fall into the leadership trap.
Yeah. Mr. White said we expect leaders to care. Cassandra said amen to that. We don't know everything, right? We have to, as a new young leader, and
Man,
like I say, I've been there. I
man,
thought being the leader meant that I had to know everything about everything, right?
everything.
And world boy was my world rocked when I got into the military, and that team concept, right, was really built and established. It really changed my leadership style and brand and molded me into the leader that I am today. So that is a great point, accept. And then D, decision. So is there sort of a kind of personal blueprint that you follow when making decisions? Like
Yes.
when you get ready to make a hard decision, is there some type of blueprint? What weighs into you making your decisions?
So it brings me back to a leader we had when I was working at Strayer, CEO there at that time. He used to say, make it swift, make swift decisions, move with speed. He used to say, he was a military guy. Oh my God, what is his name? Oh my God. When I first got to Strayer, he was the CEO there. Rob. Anyway, so he said, move with speed and passion, but couple that with you don't need to know everything in order to make the decision. Make the decision and then make your corrections along the way.
Okay.
You know, make your educated decisions, come up with it and use your team. When you're making a decision, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, once again, it keeps going back to because we're taught that everything in leadership is it's all on the leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pressure, Charles.
Right.
It's a lot of pressure to feel like it's all on my back. Oh my God. Why? Really think about this. Why would you think like that if you have a
Right.
team?
If you have a
What
team.
you know what that's programming you to do? And this is generational. It's been taught, it's been brought down just like the it's lonely on the at the top.
Yeah.
It's a corporate generational like a mindset.
Okay.
You know why? When you think, oh, I got to make the decision and it's lying. Everything is relying on me. And then you don't go to your team. What that is arrogance. That's ego.
Simply put.
Simply put, it's ego. And we all have ego. A healthy sense of ego, a healthy dose of ego is important for your confidence. It is very important for your confidence. But make sure that you understand that it's not all on you. You are a player. You play a position. You also the head coach. If you're the manager, you're the leader, the executive, the CEO, the COO. You play a position. And if you play your position right, we're going to win.
Yeah.
We are going to win.
Yep. That's good, man. That's really good. I love it. This has been great, man. I enjoyed our time together. I like the overall kind of arching theme of this talk and this discussion has really been centered around knowing yourself, but then also knowing how to relate and connect and deploy people the right way, right? And really show people that they are valuable, which I think is something that we really need to be doing during this pandemic with people just trying to figure out where do I still fit in? Am I still important? Am I, if they had to line us up, am I the one that's in the back of the line to get the pink slipping, so to be able to connect with people like that, man, I think is going to be really good. I see in the comments, play your position, move with speed and passion. That's really good. Someone says you're only as good as your weakest link, which is absolutely true. And so, yeah, we can use those sports analogies all the time because Tom Brady, who coming to Tampa now, where I'm at with the Bucks, can't throw the ball to himself, right? Somebody has to be able to catch it. And even those coaches, like you say, being a coach, some of them have not even played the positions that they coach guys in, but they're on the sideline. They're able to look at you and see, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, right? This is what you can do better. And then you're in the field and in the game, you can say, well, coach, when I do this, this is happening. And then it becomes a collective effort, right, to move that ball to the end zone if it's a football analogy. But in business, it's to get the new clients, to grow the business, for the individuals to get promotion and the recognition. But everybody in that type of approach will thrive and benefit from those type of relationships. So, man, Pierre, this has been great. I want to thank you so much for setting aside the time to speak with us here on the Relational Leadership Network. I'm truly thankful for all those who joined in. I'm thankful for the questions and the engagement that we had. People are saying, great leadership show. This is great. Thanks for the invite and thanks for the discussion. That's true. And so you really resonated with folks. I can tell from the chats and the comment. And so any final remarks before I let you go and get on out of here and return to the rest of our quarantine day, binge watching Netflix or whatever we're getting ready to do. Any final thoughts for everyone?
Absolutely. Let's go back to the beginning. That's what coaches do, right? What did you learn? What are three things that you learned from this conversation? This is what I do in my coaching sessions. What are three things that you learned in this conversation? Either put it in the comments or share it with 3 other people.
Okay, that's good.
What are 3? This is a leadership challenge, y'all. That's what I do. Okay, what are 3 things that you learned from this conversation? What are you, and then the second question is, what are you going to do differently now that you know what you know now, that
Yeah.
the wool has been removed from your eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what are the things that you're going to do now? Because now that you know what you know better. You remember Mama used to, mom used to say, when you do
You know
better,
better.
come on now. So don't tell me you've been sitting here listening to this conversation and you know what is right and what is true, and then you're going to continue doing what's wrong.
Yeah. That's
Number
good, man.
3, make sure you please take care of yourself. Increase the vitamin C intake. Take ginger, all these different things that zinc. I'm trying to think of all the things that we have on the counter upstairs. It's important because if we can't have this conversation if people are just falling off to the
Right.
wayside, not realizing that we're dealing with a virus.
Yep.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
And look, I love chocolate chip cookies too. That's my, that's my weakness. Listen, man. Hey, look, that's my thing.
Yeah.
So
That's
please,
good, man.
you
Take
know,
care of yourself.
and
They're
then
already.
I want to say this because I think it's important. Understand, managers, at this time, this is time for inspirational leadership, relational leadership. This is time for you to encourage your people. This is time for, and I'm coaching managers and executives on this right now, is to make sure that you're coaching. So there's a difference between just managing. You manage people, process, systems, strategies. That's the
Okay.
management model. Okay, but there's coaching. This is
What we're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
just
Right. Right.
we drop coaching on you. So I encourage you to coach your people, which means identify what their talents, gifts, and strengths are and deploy them. And if you need my help, my assistance, feel free.
Yeah.
Contact me. That's
Let
what
us
I'm in.
know how we can connect with you, Pierre. That was the final thing. Let us know how we can connect with you.
Absolutely. For all of you who are interested in leadership development, need a coach, or you need training, I do the virtual trainings as well. You can connect. You can email me at pierre@pierrecamp.com. Pierre@pierrecamp.com. Everyone, connect with me on LinkedIn. This is where I give a lot of value on LinkedIn. This is where Charles found me.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of people find me on LinkedIn. I am leadership coach. There are many other things that I do, many other jobs that I have. I'm Jamaican. You remember the old thing in Living Color? I have 10 jobs. I have
Yeah,
10 jobs.
10 jobs, man.
I have 10 jobs. I have more jobs too. But I want you all to understand that you're not in it by yourself, and I am here to help. This is the gifting that God has given me to be able to help people. I feel the pain of leaders, and I help people to articulate their value. I help organizations to articulate their value. Because now more than ever, there are going to be times where people are going to look, especially executives, they're going to start looking and saying, okay, let me move so you can see my hand. Look at your talent. In your talent, who have we not used? Who have we not utilized?
Hmm.
Okay, and then they're going to do what? They're going to do some cuts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
you have to know your value. And the leaders, the executives, you're not alone. That's why you need a coach.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Somebody already took the leadership challenge. 3 things they learned. Be transparent. I don't need to know everything. Get with the team about decisions that need to be made.
I love
And
it.
Fatima says she's all about those Oreos. So that's our time.
We're right on time. Look at
We're
this.
right on time, man. Yeah. And so again, thanks for tuning in, everyone who joined in on the discussion. We will be back next week to continue our Leadership 911 when Crisis and Courage Collide chat series. More amazing guests lined up to really just bring hope, bring inspiration, bring practical tips and tools to leaders, to managers, to supervisors, business owners, entrepreneurs. Maybe you're trying to lead a family or a ministry, wherever you're at. We got a variety of guests that are going to stop by and give you practical tools, tips, and insights to do that. Pierre, thank you, man. And to those who tune in, we will see you guys next week, Thursday at 6:30.
Let's go.
Let's go.